I got introduced to Meher actually through a mutual friend of ours who was very much involved with the system at the very beginning, wasn't she, a lady called Tahira? So I was training in kinesiology with Tahira and got introduced to Meher, and then very quickly then got onto the practitioner course, didn't I? I think it was
Thrity, yeah.
then to Thrity and then onto the course. So I've been using them since then, and I've clearly got the whole set. That training for me in 2011, I got a very immediate response to them. At that time, I was in my early 40s, and I was in that umming and ahhing of, am I going to become a mum? Do I want a baby? Do I not want a baby? I've been working with mother and babies for 20 years to that point. I've trained baby massage instructors. And that was a sort of where I was at in my life, thinking, this is something I want, but it's not happening, and da-da-da. Anyway, that week, that training, yeah, I was ovulating. So here we are, I was in that space of, and after that training, I went into menopause. It just like stopped. And actually I came up in a rash very soon after the training. I'm thinking, rash, I didn't get rashes. I'm Googling rashes, that's a menopausal symptom, you know. So there I was in my I was 44, 45 at the time. Can't remember, 44. And that decision just like got lifted away, taken from me with such ease and grace. There was no, if I'd actually stopped sort of everything had all finished, say the week before the training or something, that would have caused me some angst. It would have been like, you know, it's all too late, I've missed the boat, it's all, you know, not happening. And I know that would have caused me some angst. And here I was on this training, week after I was sort of going, I haven't had my period, it's not, you know, it's not happening. And it was just with that sort of level of observation and just sort of, I say, grace, that it was like that whole dilemma was no longer a dilemma. And yeah, and then this rash that just lasted, and then I didn't go to the doctor or anything, just observed it. It was quite embarrassing because I was training at the time, and it was really this massive rash all down the chest and everything. And then it just disappeared just after, I don't know. I mean, I didn't record it specifically, but it just disappeared. So that was that. And then I carried on working with mothers and babies, but I definitely felt the contract had changed actually, and that was the beginning of the end. That was 2011, and I carried on training for a couple of years after that. But it's, yeah. Anyway, I love the whole of the complicated story, but that's no longer what it feels like my mission, and that very much was my mission at the time, was to promote nurturing touch between parents and babies, and I'd been involved in that work for many, many years. So there's probably sort of some healing around some sort of mother wound there. So that was that. So that was a big one. And then, gosh, just so many different stories over the years, but I could just share quickly one. I was in Australia the other year with my sister who lives there, and her stepdaughter, who's 18 years ago, at that point was having night tremors, was in a right old pickle, was not sleeping. She'd just got herself a boyfriend, and he was thinking, oh my gosh, you know, she'd be crying in the night, sobbing, crawled in a ball. You know, there was this whole thing that he was observing during the night of this very unusual behaviour. And so she was sort of telling me about this, and I knew there were some issues with her stepdad. So we were just talking one night, late into the night, just around the kitchen table, and I said to Julie, well, just while you're talking to me about it, would you hold the frequencies? And we wrote her stepdad's name down on a piece of paper, and I gave her the Divine Mother. And so while she was sort of talking about the situation, and then afterwards I asked her to sort of then do the swap in the both hands, and the protocol, then bringing the hands together. And whilst she couldn't say she loved and accepted him, it was like, I acknowledge him, exactly as I am. I sort of just, I accept him as he is. Anyway, I went to bed that night. Apparently that night she did go to bed and was very emotional. But the next morning, I'm downstairs in the kitchen, she came bounding down the stairs, just so excited that was the first night she'd slept through without having a terror that night. That she couldn't believe it. She got on her phone to the boyfriend straight away, told him. She even had a dream that there were all dogs under her bed, like these puppies, all like a real joyful dream, like there was all these lovely little dogs in her bedroom. She couldn't believe it. She was, honestly, she bounded off out to work, and I'm going to looking at my sister thinking, I don't know, really did that happen? And then she came home that night from work, and she was carrying a leaf that she said she thought was a sign from her granddad that had landed on the car. She was just at the best day ever. And apparently that has sustained. I mean, she went back home, and I few days later, I asked her, I was thinking, gosh, was that just a one-off, you know, that one night? But sort of 3 or 4 nights later, it has stayed. And I saw her this year, so this is actually a year later, and I just checked in with her and said, you know, how is it? She says, there's still a little bit of turmoil at night now, but nothing like it was. Nothing like it was. So that was a nice story. It just transformed her.
And she just held it for a few minutes one time?
Yeah, one time. Just round the dinner table. It was very powerful. And when she told me that, I got so emotional. It just made my that trip to Australia. It was just stunning. You know, this 18-year-old girl was just sort of in a right old state, and she suddenly got that joy back. You know, it was incredible. Yeah, it was beautiful. And then just another little story quickly. So my mum this year, who's in Australia as we speak, I got the phone call basically to get over to Australia because she'd had a stroke and they were making her comfortable. So, of course, put the frequencies on her name and her photograph and all the rest of it. She's still with us, and we've used the frequencies, you know, a lot. And it's been amazing recovery actually. But she also, my mum has used the frequencies over the years. She's hold them. She wears the universal one. And for her to have this stroke, I mean, so she's been diagnosed with a Parkinson's condition last summer, but complicated Parkinson's. She flies out in December to have Christmas with my sister, had 2 months, then has the stroke. She's had a heart condition for many years, but had the stroke. Where she then went to rehab, which was 5 minutes round the corner from my sister, this place specialises not only in stroke rehabilitation, but also Parkinson's rehabilitation. So she manifested, you know, to have this major trauma, it couldn't have been more perfect, in a way. 5 minutes from my sister, and they specialised in both her conditions. And we're going, really? You really? We just couldn't believe it. So there we are. And she's coming back in 2 weeks' time. So she's well enough to fly back.